Hi everyone, I'm Abby from Abby Kirsten Collections, and today we are talking all about the new Cricut mug press. The Cricut mug press I absolutely love. First, because it's so compact. I absolutely love the compact size of this, but I also love how simple it is to produce a beautiful gift in really just a few moments. So I have been busy making mugs, and I have been busy testing different ways that you can use the mug press, and we're going to be talking about that in this video today. I absolutely love Infusible ink, and Infusible ink is what you're going to need in order to cut that out on your Cricut machine, your Maker, your Explorer, or your Joy machine like we will be using today. I'm also going to show you how you can add more than one color of Infusible ink to your mug so that you can add different colors and layers to your design, just like you see here in this butterfly mug, where I have a blue and I have a yellow/orange color. So if you're looking to be able to do some layers with your Infusible ink, I'm going to walk you through that in today's tutorial. The supplies you're going to need for this are, of course, the Cricut mug press. You'll need a ceramic mug that is a sublimation mug. So you can either buy a generic sublimation mug, or you can buy Cricut's brand mugs, which I do recommend because they are specifically designed to work with the Cricut mug press, which means they're going to work the best. This one here is not a Cricut brand, but as you can see, it still worked out just fine. So as long as it is a sublimation mug, you shouldn't have any major problems. You're also going to want to make sure, in addition to your mug blank, that you have some heat-safe tape that we're going to be using with our Infusible ink design. You're going to want to have a lint roller on hand, and you may also want to either make sure you've washed your mug really well first, or you have wiped it down with an alcohol wipe. Additionally, you need to make sure you have a heat-safe surface, so something like either a really thick towel or an easy pressed mat is recommended. If you're loving any of the designs you see here, I am going to be putting some freebies up in my freebie vault so you can download these and practice for yourself. We're kind of going with a Mother's Day vibe here. This is one design I did recently that I will be gifting this Mother's Day. It says, "First my mother and forever my friend," and on the other side we have a beautiful display of butterflies. So if you like any of these designs, I am giving away several for free. If you have ever wondered how you can make your own SVG files so you're not limited by others' designs and their particular style, but you want to capture your particular style, I am releasing an entire course called Free the SVG very soon. It is all about designing your own SVG files, and I cannot wait to share it with you. It's one of the things I am most passionate about. So let's go ahead and get started with this Cricut mug tutorial. Okay, so first things first, we need to make sure that our file is set up appropriately for this project. So what I mean by that is, with Infusible ink, if you want to add different colors together, you need to make sure that the item has been sliced so that no two colors are directly overlapping. So let me show you a before and after example of what that means. Over here on the right, where I have my A and my monogram frame finished here, if I were to pull off the pink, you would notice that anywhere where those pink flowers were sitting, there is not one tiny bit of green underneath it. It is stopping right where the pink starts. If we look at my original file over here, when you bring it in, you will see that there are pieces of the vines that are going underneath these little flowers. So what we need to do is we need to slice out these two designs from each other so that there is going to be no overlap of the two colors, because Infusible ink can't be layered directly. It has to be layered where the colors stop, where your eye visually sees them. So what you need to do, and I'm using this as a very simple example, but you could apply this example to many different designs, and I have other tutorials on Infusible inks for like shirts and layering that on the blog, which I will link below for you if you're interested in seeing that process. Now, depending on your design, it can be a good idea to make a copy of the design, because sometimes when you slice, it will modify one of the layers that you actually need to still keep. So it's a good idea to just duplicate. So the first thing I'm going to do is select both of these and click that duplicate button at the top right. And I'm just going to pull this down here out of my way. Now I'm going to go back to the original here, and I'm going to select both those layers. I'm going to select the flower and the greenery. And I've already ungrouped these, and I only have 2 layers selected. That is very important when you're using the slice tool. You have to have your items ungrouped, and there can only be 2 layers selected at a time. You can see in our layers panel that we just have the 2 selected that are in darker gray. With those two selected, I'm going to click the slice tool in the bottom of the layers panel. It's going to take a second to show us our slice results, and you will see slice results appear over here in your layers panel. And then if you look at the design, you'll also notice that anywhere where the flowers and the greenery were overlapping has now been sliced, and you can see cut lines. So here's the reason I had us duplicate the wreath. I still need to pull over the original whole flowers, but I need to get rid of all of the flower pieces over here and just save the greenery because we don't want the flowers and the greenery overlapping. So now that I have the slice result, let's pull this off. You can see how it sliced those flowers apart. So these aren't going to be usable anymore, which is why I needed to create a copy over here. So I'm going to delete that. And then you'll also notice there's probably another result that looks something like this, and this is where the overlap was for one of the flowers, or for the flowers in the greenery, excuse me. And in some cases you'll even see another layer, so you can still see on our greenery layer here that there is actually another option which we need to get rid of, and that's this. This is eliminating all of the area where the greenery was touching the flowers. So I'm going to delete that. Now I have just this layer here, the greenery. And if we go to our duplicate down here and we pick up those flowers and bring them over, and you may need to raise the selection to the front, just like that. You can now bring those over here and place them right where the other flowers were, but because we sliced them, there is no greenery underneath our flowers now, which means when we go to layer this with Infusible ink, it's going to look pure in color. We're not going to see green flowing into our flower. So that's not something you want. You don't want to have like a messy transfer with Infusible ink. You have to have totally clean edges. So if I pull these off, you see there's nothing underneath. It literally, the flowers start right where the greenery ends. So that is the purpose of the slice method when it comes to layering Infusible ink. I went ahead and typed out the letter A here because this is a monogram mug. Of course, the A is not actually overlapping anything, so that's not important to worry about slicing anything there because there's already empty negative space there. So let's go ahead and actually do this craft together.
So I'll be using my Cricut Joy machine today. I have selected the Infusible ink transfer sheets, and I've gone ahead and cut down some of the Infusible ink to size. You can also use the Cricut Joy Infusible ink rolls that they sell in the pre-made Joy size, but either will work. If you have the larger rolls, you'll just have to cut them down. I'm going to place this on my green mat. Make sure with your design that you don't forget to mirror it, and make sure there is no bubbles or wrinkles anywhere in your design where the blade is going to be cutting. You want to get a clean cut. With the Cricut Joy machine, once it has been powered on and you have navigated to the cut screen in Design Space, then it is going to prompt you to load the mat simply by pushing the mat against the rollers for it to catch it. Cricut is then going to scan your mat and make sure it is aligned. Once it has approved the alignment of your mat, then you will see a green Cricut Go button in Cricut Design Space on your device or computer. You'll want to go ahead and click on that. Once you do, the machine will go ahead and cut out your and then your Cricut Joy machine will release the mat for you. To remove the material, make sure you flip the mat over and then peel the mat away from the material so that it doesn't curl the material. Grab a pair of scissors and go ahead and trim down and save any extra Infusible ink. I'm just going to set this aside here for a moment, and I'm going to cut my next layer. Next, we need to go ahead and weave the Infusible ink. So the best thing to do is to sort of roll the transfer sheet a little bit. This is technically known as cracking. And this just helps the Infusible ink material release in the areas that you're trying to weed so that the design doesn't come up. The design I'm doing here is fairly simplistic overall, so I don't need to do too much. Starting at one of the corners, I'm just going to pull back the Infusible ink from the liner, making sure all those little pieces are there. If you have any pieces that need to be weeded inside of the design, typically you would use a weeding tool. However, I find with infusible ink, in most cases, gently rolling the design and using your finger actually works better. So that's just my personal recommendation. Now here comes the fun part. So since we went ahead and sliced out where the little flowers are, there's now all those little spaces there. I'm going to make sure that I have this the correct direction. Since this wreath here with the greenery is the most intricate piece, I am going to lift up these little flowers and just place them around the wreath, and then also lift up the A and place it in the middle so that everything is on one liner. The concept of layering infusible ink like this, everything still has to be transferred to a single transfer sheet, but as long as you're dealing with designs where one of the layers or two of the layers are simplistic enough to be added to the more complex layer, then you can easily move it right over, still achieve a beautiful design, and you can do the whole transfer in once with all three of these colors. So I'm going to start with the top here. And I'm going to place those down. All right, there we go. So I have all of those three colors on one transfer sheet. It looks good from the side that we know it's going to look that way with the color. And now we need to go ahead and heat up our Cricut mug press. The Cricut mug press only has one button, and that is the power button. So make sure it's plugged in and then go ahead and click the button. It'll be red at first, and you're going to want to wait until it turns green before you insert your mug. In the meantime, let's go ahead and place our design onto our mug and prep our mug. To prep your mug, you'll want to use a little rubbing alcohol or an alcohol wipe, or at the very least, wash and dry your mug and dry with a paper towel. And then before you do anything else, you'll also want to roll a lint roller on it just to make sure that there is no little tiny bits of lint or anything from the paper towel or your dish towel or anything from drying off it. So just a lint roller. If you don't have a lint roller, you can grab just a piece of like masking tape, wrap it around your hand, and then sort of grab at it and it'll do the same effect. So our mug is prepped and ready to go. I want to decide where I want to put this. So for me, I'm right-handed, so I like to be able to look at the front of my cup when I'm holding it. So I'm going to place it on this side here. And I'm just going to grab my lint roller again here, and I'm going to use it to sort of stick to the side of the mug so that the mug doesn't roll on me, and I can make sure I'm getting a good placement. There isn't a real trick to the alignment. You just want to make sure you're looking straight down at it to make sure you're getting a good view. You really want to make sure at this point that you're pushing that infusible ink down that liner, you're getting the bubbles out. Because if there's bubbles, especially around the design, it's probably not going to make really good contact, and as a result, you're not going to get a transfer, or it's going to only partially transfer and it's not going to look very good. You can always lift the liner if you need to and kind of reposition to get a bubble out, and then just keep pressing with your finger until all of that is pressed down really well. That was our Cricut mug press telling us it's heated and ready to go. I'm going to add a couple of pieces of this heat safe tape right along the bottom here because I don't want the design to like lift up or anything as I put it into my mug press. It's not a big deal if you put a little bit of the tape over the design, although it is good practice to try and avoid that if you can. Alright, so our mug is prepped and ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and put down my heat safe surface here, and then I'm going to just place my Cricut mug press right onto it there. And then we're going to go ahead and place this in. So you'll need to make sure that the lever is up in order to place it in. Don't touch anything inside. It is extremely hot. You want to hold the handle and then just go ahead and place your design in sort of at an angle and slide it right down just like that. Make sure your design is inside and it's not coming towards, the end of the heat area there. And then you'll want to go ahead and press this down. Once you press the lever down, you're going to see a white little flashing button up here. This is just a progress light basically, and once all of these are lit up, then your mug press will beep and let you know you can lift it to remove your mug. All right, our Cricut mug press just beeped, and now we want to lift the lever. This is extremely hot, so make sure you're only grabbing the handle out here. You do not touch anything else. You're gonna need to lift the mug straight up and set it on your heat-safe surface, and you wanna let it cool for at least 15 minutes before you try and remove anything. All right, it has now been more than 10 minutes since I have taken this mug out. It is only mildly warm to the touch, less than what it would be like if it had just cooled off in the dishwasher. So I'm okay to touch it and remove it. I'm gonna start with the tape. If you used any of the heat-safe tape, go ahead and peel that off to get that started. I like to start at the bottom and move up. And just slowly lift that. All our pieces off there. There we go. Transferred beautifully. We didn't have any issues there. We got our nice vibrant colors, and we were able to do pink, green, and black all in one transfer just by moving those little pieces over onto one single liner of the Infusible ink, and then we just placed it in. I hope you guys like this tutorial. I'm going to be giving away some of these designs you've seen today in the freebie vault, so make sure you check those out. I'm going to provide links below in the video description. If you're on YouTube, then just click on show more and you'll be able to see it, or if you're on the blog, you'll also find links in there as well. If you want to learn how to design your own SVG cut files, make sure you check out my free The SVG course that is coming soon. I'll see you guys there. Thanks for watching.